One of my friends today posted a very interesting article about a young pastor in the United States who supports the execution of gays. He was rather reticent to say directly that he supported it, but he was suggesting it. It is intimated that he suggests it in his sermons, and when he was pressed on the issue, he just continued to refer to the Bible, saying that the Bible is clear on what should happen with gay people. And then when he was asked if gay people should be stoned, he said the Bible's clear on how executions should be done, or he invariably said that the Bible should be consulted on how executions should be done. So the issue is the radical right Christian in America and whether or not he or she and his or her community supports execution of gay people. And I think the bigger issue is for the rest of us to not get caught up in interpretations of the Bible, but to ask ourselves, as many are who are luminaries today, scholars, academics, scientists of one kind or another, criticizing Islam, whether or not most Islamic people, or Muslim people rather, do or do not support draconian measures as laid out in the religious scripture. The bigger issue is it's there, and so people can believe in it if they wish. They can think that it's just. That's what I think the bigger issue is. So, contrary to what many people like to admit, in my opinion, that it's okay to think what you want to think what's true, whatever you want to think is true, whether or not we landed on the moon, whether or not the evidence should be followed that humanity is adversely affecting the climate, whether or not it's okay to accept the evidence about evolution, the overwhelming evidence. This is the issue, in my opinion, that we have a problem with allowing people to think what's true, whatever they want to think is true, to think what's just, whatever they want to think is just. You notice I'm taking painful steps to try to avoid using the word believe, because as I've illustrated in many other videos and in my writings, the word belief is a conversation stopper. It's a bulwark. It's a roadblock. It's an obstacle to sensible discussion about facts. The idea being, whether or not it's voiced or even realized, that if you believe something, it is now okay. And people who don't even realize they're using this as an obstacle to good discussion and to truth invariably do this in a discussion when the heat is on them to prove a point or to cite evidence. They'll say, well, I believe, and the intonation always goes like that. Well, I believe. And this intonation is an indication that the person is already conceding that he or she doesn't have a leg to stand on, but now will close the door and bolt it and lock the locks and say it stops there. And that's the problem. That is the big problem. The conversation stops where people can say, well, I believe. Okay? So whether or not, as Sam Harris likes to say, you believe that putting a special sauce on your pancakes and saying a few incantations will cause those pancakes to now allow you to commune with Elvis, or whether you believe that a special wafer in the church allows you to actually be in the same place and time as the body and blood of Christ, or whether you believe that Muhammad is the last apostle of the one and only creator of the entire universe, that's the problem. The problem is people can't be called on their obfuscations. They can't be called to account for their thoughts about thinking certain things which are patently insane are true or not. People can't be called to explain their beliefs. And so their beliefs can continue to become a foundation for the fanatical prescriptions that are written in those beliefs or the scriptures of those beliefs. So it's not shocking that Muslims think it's okay to cut off hands and stone women and kill people who leave the faith, because it's in their faith. Whether or not this group interprets it that way or not, it's there. It's there for the taking. It's very low-hanging fruit. And the same is true in the Old Testament, which Christians are inexplicably attached to because of the birth of Jesus and how that's connected to Genesis. So Christians who will say, well, Jesus liberated from all of that, apparently not. What do you think? I'd like to know.